Hey folks, so after my last video, I had a lot of people telling me, oh, this is BS. You don't know what you're talking about. Blah, 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 blah. You don't know. So I've been a computer guy for a long time. One of the interesting things about being a computer guy is that all businesses use computers. They all have used computers for a very long time, since back in the Novell days to now the modern Windows 2022 days. I do Linux, I did Novell, I do Windows, right? And I have always worked for companies that had a lot of resellers or resold their services to a lot of people, a lot of customers. Also, I have my own consulting business for a while. I've shut that down because I'd rather work for somebody else. And today I'm just kind of wrapping down my career. I didn't renew my CCNP so now I'm just wrapping down at my current job, working towards retirement and not getting calls at 3 a.m. because the printer won't work, right? I don't want to be the big time network engineer anymore. I just want to be a computer guy of a medium-sized company. So these things do happen. And I'm somewhat limited as to how much of it I can talk about, but when I make these videos, it's with knowledge, right, of what might be going on. So what I'm going to do is take you through this. I'll zoom in on it here. And this is an exclusive. Feds and the state attorney general investigate alleged human trafficking empire run in Springfield, Ohio for years by King George. And King George is what they call the head guy of First Diversity. So the story in this town is not about cats or dogs. It's about mules. A twin tragedy of migrant workers from Haiti exploited and locals from Springfield marginalized. Just about every week since 2019, First Diversity Staffing Group has shuttled Haitians in unmarked white Ford and Chevy vehicles, and I see their vehicles going to places to drop people off all the time. But they brought them from Florida to Ohio, where they are allegedly exploited for cheap labor by companies like Dole Fresh or Dole Food. It's actually called Dole Fresh Vegetable. Dole Foods is a separate company from Dole Fresh Vegetable. They make the bagged salads, the pre-bagged salads that you get. It is a secretive and sinister operation that has gone unchecked for more than 5 years. It's actually gone on longer than that, but not with Haitians, with other types of migrant workers. The mastermind behind this scheme lives in a $1.35 million mansion on Polly's Plantation Court. His name is George 10, but he goes by King George. His opulent lifestyle of luxury cars and cash handouts and fast talk for years. He has operated his reign an alleged exploration of openly and freely out of former mansion. So they're talking about he's done this for years out of this. It's a former mansion that he runs the business out of. It's a really nice place. Here's a picture of him with his workers, and their faces are blurred out. Last Saturday evening, I arrived at the Haitian Community Help and Support Center on South Yellow Spring Street, drawn by former President Donald Trump's explosive claim in the presidential debate that the migrants are eating the cats and dogs. Okay. In 72 hours, he uncovered something sinister in the real story of this town. About 58,000 locals and an estimated 15,000 migrant workers. I really think it's more than 15. A long-standing hidden human trafficking network that has upended the lives of both the Haitian migrants and the local residents. According to sources with whistleblowers coming forward, FBI anti-trafficking agents and the Ohio Attorney General Dave Youst are investigating the allegations of human trafficking. What began as my efforts to track down a rumor about animal cruelty has turned into an investigation that reveals a malignant system of labor exploitation involving a local businessman, George Tin, whom Haitians and local residents call King George, the chief executive at First Diversity Staffing Group, company that has been a tip of the spear for alleged trafficking and operation of Haitians to the town. So it says here that the Haitians lived in homes that have an X on them, and many of them they're condemned homes, and the fire department puts a big X on them to say it's not occupiable. He lives in a mansion. So this is a picture of his home, right? And it has like pools and spas and all kinds of a gourmet kitchen, a second floor, each with a full bath, billiard room, has everything. Which, if you have a business, you should be able to have a nice house. And here's a sample home that Haitians are living in that's been condemned and has a red X on it. According to sources, the network has become so significant and this drawn the attention of the FBI field office and the Ohio Attorney General, with the whistleblowers revealing inner secrets of this operation. According to sources, the FBI has blinders of evidence documenting properties owned by King George. So this is something that someone else made a comment to me on Facebook. They said the CEO of First Diversity has recently purchased about 50 properties in Springfield. It's interesting. I did not know that. I was not searching for him. And so they're bringing him up here from Florida. The area's investigation included almost 50 homes, so they were right. They told me 50. That George owns in Springfield. The housing migrants in squalid conditions under the name of a limited liability corporation. So they're not actually in his name, they're under the name of an LLC. George oversees a spider web of at least 10 shell corporations that I've discovered through court records. And sources say he's used them to funnel money, property, and assets, including Audi, Mercedes, and Porsche cars. This is a story of unchecked greed and cruelty. Most journalists learn through experience. Things rarely as they seem. So this is what my previous video was about. I didn't know it was this serious, but places like First Diversity, and I'm sure there are other staffing agencies, are profiting off of this in a big way. So basically this just goes on to say things. This is a picture of the First Diversity staffing sign. Couldn't get a hold of George, but I left messages with him. Miguel said his wife and children were born in New York. He moved to Delaware, then to Ohio, and worked in human resources for Dole in 2022. I probably know him, but I don't remember the name. He started First Diversity out of his home and said that he left George and the business around 2010. So, yeah. I'm just trying to think of that timeline. Their jingle is a leader in putting Americans back to work by providing quality staffing solutions. My son needed a job, and he went there, and there was no real jobs. It was all like meat packing and just labor intensive jobs. Son says that he said his son wasn't involved in illegal human trafficking. But this goes on and just really goes through it. I will put a link to this down to the video below. But it is really interesting. So, yeah. We have all these people making all this money. Basically bringing these people into town to work for these companies. So what I want to do is I want to go over where the real problem is. The real problem that nobody wants to look at. The real problem is that these companies need labor. They need people to do manual labor type of jobs. I hate to say it, but most of the people in America are too fat, too unhealthy, too metabolically challenged, have too much diabetes. They are too unhealthy to do those jobs. And the reason that they're fat, metabolically healthy, it's not their genetics. It's not that they're just have a disease and or something, right? Why do we have so much cancer, heart disease, obesity, diabetes? Why? Why are we now giving out prescriptions for antidepressants like they're candy to people? We never used to do that. It's our diet. We are eating potato chips, donuts, candy bars. Dude, we're just eating junk. And they're filling even the foods that you think are healthy, like sun chips, right? They're filling those with seed oils and crap, right? Because it's cheap, and they can get it, they can preserve it, keep it chewy, keep it on the shelf. And they're spending pennies compared to what they're charging for it. They're making mega money selling you the poison that's giving you metabolic syndrome and making you sick and weak. And then you get sick and weak, and what do? You go to the hospital, you go to the doctor, right? They run a bunch of tests. They charge you money for those, or charge your insurance company money for those. That's why insurance rates have skyrocketed and they cover less than ever. And then you're like, okay, well, he's like, well, you need to take this pill, and this pill. And then you go get those prescriptions filled. And you're giving Big Pharma more money. That's why it's the Food and Drug Administration. And it's not funded by the government. It's funded by Big Food and Big Pharma. So, of course, they're going to approve things because they would lose their funding otherwise. Right? And so you're getting poison. You're getting pills to solve that poison by doctors. And those pills that solve that poison don't really solve the problem. They just help maybe a little bit. But they all have side effects and make you sick in other ways. And you're just getting to where you're sick. You can't go and stand up on your feet for 10 hours a day and work. And so what do? You get on disability, or you find a desk job, right? And you don't do physical labor anymore. I know I used to be, for those of you who don't know, I used to be 200 pounds heavier, or more than 200 pounds heavier. And I went on a keto diet, then carnivore, and now I'm mostly carnivore, but I have some veggies and stuff too. But I eat proper food. I don't eat refined seed oils, refined sugar. I don't eat Lucky Charms and Captain Crunch. I don't eat Wonder Bread, which is made with wood pulp, right? And high fructose corn syrup and vegetable oil. I don't eat that. I eat meat. I eat sometimes, very occasionally, some bread that I make myself. It has 4 ingredients in it, right? Water, flour, salt, and yeast, right? But I eat a lot of meat. I can my meat. I cook my meat. I eat all kinds of meat. I eat eggs. I eat bacon. I cook in tallow. I cook in bacon grease, right? My coronary calcium score is 0. Right? And so I'm getting more and more healthy, and I'm feeling better, and I now have more and more energy, right? And so I start to understand I don't want to work at a manual labor job, but I probably could, at this point if I had to. And so these companies are bringing in these people because Americans are too sick to do the work. If we end up going to war, we're going to have Americans that are too sick to be soldiers. What are we going to do then? Right? So it's getting hard to recruit people for the armed forces because they're fat and sick. You see teenagers in these carts at Walmart. We have more handicap spots than we do regular parking places now, right? Everybody's got a wheelchair pass. I've had 5 to 6 strokes. I don't have a wheelchair pass. Right? And so, yes, we need to get our health problems fixed. We need to control big food and big pharma. We need to redo the Food and Drug Administration, right? And make that so it's actually for us, not for big food and big pharma. And we'll start to solve a lot of these problems. We'll start to be able to work at jobs where we make stuff in the USA still. Some places, they have to work here. They're working with food and stuff that just has to be done here in this country. Because you can't bring salad from China to here, right? But the rest of the places, a lot of them are exporting their stuff to China because they have labor. Meanwhile, there's more and more of us going out on disability and stuff like that because of our health problems, because of the food that we eat. So I would just say, look at like Dr. Ken Berry, right? Dr. Ken Berry is probably the best one if you really want to get interested in what your diet is, what the truth is, and how your doctor is lying to you. And I'll put a link up here to a couple of my videos like, oh, my cholesterol is going to go up. And it's not true. So, yeah. But that's what's going on. And we have to fix that root problem. But we also have to do something about this. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper.